Hello again, I am Blunty, and today I give you a YouTube rarity, a reboxing. That's right, in today's video you'll be seeing an Asus ROG Strix GeForce 2080 Ti OC Edition, one of the most brutally powerful consumer-grade GPUs on the planet being put back in a box and sent away. Well, to be honest with you, this reboxing is just a fun framing device to talk about some exciting rumor stuff about graphics cards that just happen to coincide with me having to do this. New news on AMD's new Nvidia killers out of the RDNA2 line, and rumblings about the discontinuation and shelf disappearances of the RTX 2080, 2080 Super, 2070 and 2070 Super. As for the reason I have to give up my precious RTX 2080 Ti, well, it's not actually mine. Never was. It was a long-term loaner from Asus. Sometimes these brands let you keep these long-time loaners. They're never officially yours. They remain to be theirs, but they never really ask for them back. Occasionally they do ask for them back, and this time Asus asked for it back. So after about 6 months of glorious 4K and 1440p high frame rate gaming, ray tracing, and brutalizing my video editing tasks, I asked for it back, and I'm going to send it back. I mean, I know it's a first world problem, but it's still pretty upsetting, both personally, because, well, doy, and for the fact that I now can't do any 4K gaming performance comparisons. So, as the meme goes, F's in chat for my newfound 0 4K pleb status. And while you're there, wanting to check out that sub button, bell, and thumb situation, please use them. I need cheering up today. But boo-hoo woe is me stuff aside, the request to return the card does also coincide, by no coincidence I imagine, with the rumor mill mumbling about both the impending unveiling and release of the RTX 3000 series cards, and perhaps even more tantalizing, whispers about AMD's next-gen RDNA2 flagship card. I saw on Tweaktown this morning their report of a YouTuber, Moore's Law is Dead, saying that AMD's flagship RDNA2 based graphics card will be 40 to 50% faster than Nvidia's current flagship GeForce RTX 2080 Ti graphics card. That's a pretty big deal. We've all seen, over the last couple of years, AMD taking the bat to Big Blue on the CPU side of things and going from lackluster underdog nobody really cared about, turning around to be very rapidly absolute prime performance and value choices against Intel's offerings. But Team Red has tried and failed to do the same against the might of Nvidia. The Radeon 7 flagship was impressive, but still lost out in the end. Turns out it was much better for, stuff like video production and rendering than it was for gaming. But the more budget-friendly and 1080 and 1440p gaming-targeted RDNA-based 5700 and 5700 XT cards are similarly quite good, but also not quite good enough to make Nvidia flinch or notice. And AMD just haven't bothered even trying to field a new 4K-capable card based on that technology. But if this leak about the RDNA2-based flagship cards holds true, Nvidia could be in for one hell of a fight. Nvidia's generation-to-generation improvements are reasonably predictable and have been for many years now. From the 9000 series to the 1000 series to the 2000 series, we've seen a pretty steady 5 to 20% performance boost, depending on what game you're talking about, in real-world gaming frame rates when comparing tier for tier. So 1080 versus 2080, for example. Ray tracing aside, of course. And the same is expected of the RTX 3000 series. That's just how Nvidia tends to roll, albeit likely with even better ray tracing performance that won't take quite the hit that the 2000 series does from it. So, for AMD to leapfrog an expected max of, up to 20% gain, best scenario for RTX, with their own offering boosting 40 to 50% over the RTX 2080 Ti, well, that's significant. Very significant. Also worth noting at this time, RDNA2 architecture is what's powering the graphics on next-gen consoles, though of course it'll be a cut-back version of the flagship we're talking about here, because they're consoles. But that kind of generational performance leap we're talking about here does lead credence to the kinds of surprising power some devs have spoken about of the new consoles. As for the RTX 2080 Ti, I can't even tell you how happy I was with it. Asus' design from end to end was wonderful. It was basically ninja silent, even under 4K gaming loads. Thank you, Asus, for 6 months of glorious 4K gaming and absolute silence. Well, I mean, except for the big noises the games were making. You know what I mean. And their out-of-box overclock on this thing was perfectly balanced too. It was a lovely piece of engineering. And I can tell you this, AMD or Nvidia, whatever new generation of card I reach for next as my go-to day-to-day flagship driver card thingy, Asus's version will be high on my list simply because of how impressed I was with the cooler on this thing. Right now, though, I'll be replacing it with a Gigabyte RTX 2060. Another company whose coolers I like a lot for their subtle silence. MSI are also good for that too, for the record. But it's going in because it is, in fact, the only other RTX series card I even have. I do have a Radeon 5700 and a Radeon 7, for that matter, handy. Both of those run a bit loud for my taste, and actually, more importantly, I don't want to give up using RTX voice. It's been fantastic for killing background noise while streaming, and I don't want to do without it. It's absolutely best in class. So that rules out the AMD cards I have on hand for the moment. And that also means my secondary rig, which I used to run PC games while streaming, lost its GPU, because that's where the RTX 2060 was living. So I've had to step it back to the trusty GTX 1080 from MSI. So both my main rigs have had a massive step down in their graphics performance. And I'm all pouty about it, to tell you the truth. The fact is, I had a RTX 2080 Ti on loan for half a year, and it was spectacular. So I can't whine too much, I guess. And the fact that Asus are calling it back home now, of all times, as news also breaks about Nvidia's end-of-lining production on the RTX 20 series touring cards, that would be the RTX 2080 Super, 2080 Ti, 2070 and 2070 Super, allegedly to start ramping up production for the RTX 3000 series flagships. It seems we're very close now to seeing what comes next. A few months ago, with the cancellation of GTC, I predicted we'd hear about the new cards by mid-July, and then see them on shelves by the time August was out. And it seems we just may be on track for me to get a big fat "I told you so" ready. Fingers crossed anyway. Again, F's in chat for the loss of my 2080 Ti. It will be missed. Deeply. But thank you for watching. I am Blunty, and a bigger thank you to all the patrons scrolling up above there. You make a difference. Thank you so much for that. And to everybody else, thanks for watching all the way through. And why don't you pop down in the down below? Are you more excited about Nvidia's new stuff or AMD's new stuff? I don't know where I fall. Maybe AMD, because it's a bigger leap.
Never doubted you for a second, Cap. Now get the charge taser that thing was guarding. We can get out of here.